right, Matrixx and Rhodes Show supporters, we're going to talk about the failures of Disney. And for a lot of you, much like myself, you may actually get a kick out of this. Most notably, when you can put dollar figures next to it, I get even more interested. And they lost a bunch of money last year on just 4 films. And we're going to start out with something that I find very interesting indeed, and something I could have told Disney. I continue to say that the entire products that Disney has built its brand around was in large part built by wholesome traditional family units. And this is what interests the content needs to match the customer base. And that is Disney's biggest problem. They tried to go woke. They try to put in a lot of political and social agendas, and it hasn't worked out. And now a poll has surfaced, and it's overwhelmingly clear that American adults do not want their children subjected to what it is Disney is trying to sell. And we'll get to exactly what that looks like in monetary value, but you see that over $600 million lost just last year on just 4 movies. Americans overwhelmingly want Disney to return to a family-friendly content and stop pushing sexualized content, according to a new poll. A survey by Rasmussen's Reports revealed that 71% of American adults say Disney should go back to creating, quote, wholesome programming. It's easy. And let parents decide if and when their children are taught about sexuality. Only 22% of those surveyed disagreed. Of those polled, 54% believe that the LGBTQIA characters in Disney stories were, quote, not appropriate for children under 12. 33% thought it was appropriate, gross, with another 13% saying they were not sure. What kind of world are you living in if you can't make a grown decision? Do you really need children? The poll was conducted of 1,255 American adults between April 21 and 23 and has a margin of error of 3%. The poll showed 20% of shift over the last 2 years in the feelings towards Disney programming to include LGBTQIA characters in kids' programming. Rasmussen Reports asked 1,000 American adults in 2022 if the emphasis on inclusion and diversity by companies like Disney was making children's entertainment better or worse. The previous survey said 45% said inclusion was making kids' entertainment worse, only 28% believing it improved children's entertainment. Disney's recent films have flopped at the box office following its emphasis on LGBTQ inclusivity. In fact, I think every single product they put out that has put any kind of focus on that has bombed royally. Even that knockoff Buzz Lightyear thing that they did, where I think the parents were a couple of chicks, it bombed. Why? Because families don't want their kids subjected to that, and they don't want studios making that decision for them. It's none of the studio's business. Quit doing it. Elemental, which featured a, quote, non-binary character, had one of the worst openings in the studio's history, earning a meager $29.6 million at the domestic box office, while Strange World, which highlighted a same-sex teen romance, also had a box office disaster. Well, how big are these disasters? They're big, guys. You see that headline. Disney lost over $600 million from just 4 movies. In 2023, a year of epic flops. Complete flops. Disney films showed up repeatedly on a list of the biggest bombs of the year. And the amount of money the Mouse brand is willing to shell out only for the movies to end up deeply in the red is truly mesmerizing. It's baffling that this company continues to want to hemorrhage money. Look, and if they make something that doesn't have a social or political agenda, it's something that nobody wants, like this god-awful Lion King prequel about Mufasa. Nobody wants that. And you're calling it live action. It's a CGI wreck. I mean, there's no soul to any of these Disney films anymore. At all. It's crazy. And they're not even getting woke up when movies involving Star Wars and Indiana Jones are dead on arrival. They still don't get it. Marvel movies, dead on arrival. They still don't get it. They get it. They just don't want to do anything about it. They refuse. And if I'm a shareholder or stockholder, if I was, I am shocked that they don't have a laundry list of lawsuits suing them for not trying to maximize their value. The report by Deadline is a real eye-opener in terms of volume of cash that can be evaporated by a studio, even outside of the actual production budget, when a film doesn't live up to expectations. The outlet reported that typically Disney pumps out the majority of the top 10 most profitable films in a year due to its Marvel movies, but those figures have largely unraveled due to the losses of Disney Plus. However, it should be noted that Disney and Marvel movies have suffered from insufferable wokeness and diversity-driven casting, which, of course, CEO Bob Iger denies. He just come right out and lie to everybody. Everybody can see it. I mean, it's not hard. Nobody's blind. Topping the list of flops was The Marvels, a project that checked a lot of boxes for the film studio as diverse, female-led, and directed superhero movie. Yeah, we bought a Hot Wheel the other day, and I think we thought it was Captain America related, and it was the Marvel related. My 10-year-old son said, "What is this?" Good question. That's the entire point. Unfortunately, the movie's $218 million in revenue was overshadowed by a $270 million production budget, along with $100 million in advertising. It crossed the finish line with an estimated $237 million loss. Wow. Disney was rated the worst movie studio of 2023 by Woke Variety. Wow. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was yet another heartache for both the studio and fans of franchise. We knew it was dead on arrival. Guys, I love the Indiana Jones franchise. It's my second favorite franchise in the history of film, behind Star Wars. And I didn't even look in this movie's direction. I still have not seen it. And my favorite actor is Harrison Ford. What does that tell you? His last run of Indiana Jones, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll stay with the Crystal Skull. What does that tell you? With reports of rewrites and reshoots after leaked storylines angered fans, it was hard to imagine the film could turn around the negative hype. Add on a reported $80 million in production cost to de-age Harrison Ford. It's no surprise the movie made the list. The film lost about $143 million, according to Deadline. Disney's Wish suffered terrible reviews, went relatively unnoticed even to Disney's most critical observers. $300 million in production costs, advertising easily dwarfed its box office streaming numbers, leaving it minus $131 million. I mean, nobody wants to see this crap, truly. And they're talking about a Haunted Mansion, a remake, I guess, of Eddie Murphy's movie. I didn't even know they did it. I had no idea that movie even existed. The 2003 flick saw a global box office of $182 million, but 20 years later, the new version only made $117 million. 20 years later. And Disney lost $117 million on that film. That's crazy. They lost $628 million in losses from just 4 movies. And you can imagine this year's not going to be any better. So it's absurd. It's insane. And they continue to ignore fans. Nobody gives a rat's F about Sam Wilson. He is not Captain America. Nobody wants to see that. They're going to shoehorn that movie out. Harrison Ford's in that, by the way. I could care less. That's not Captain America. Sorry, not sorry. Not interested. And that's just the point. Give the fans what they want, and the fans will come, and they will show up, and they will watch. We started watching the X-Men movies from, the early 2000s just in the last few days because, God help us all, I actually want to see Wolverine and Deadpool. And my son hadn't seen those movies, so we've started slowly heading in that direction. God, I hope they don't ruin that film, but they probably will, regardless of how good the trailer looks. I've never seen studios not want to make money, but for their agendas, they continue to just bleed out. Continue to bleed out. We're good with that. Don't put a tourniquet on it. We're good. Somebody will put you in an urn after you're burnt. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.